Day 3 after Sheikh Hasina's exit, how is Bangladesh faring? Who is going to lead the country, and have the protests ended? We've been tracking all the developments, and here's what we can tell you tonight. A new caretaker government is preparing to take charge. In the last 24 hours, there has been a big shake-up. The police chief has been removed. There's been a reshuffle in the army. Top officials have been fired. A total of 6 posts have new faces now. And the protest is not over. The demonstrators plan to return to the streets. They've called for a nationwide shutdown tomorrow, so all establishments will remain closed. Only hospitals and emergency services will be allowed to operate. Now, all eyes are on the military. What will they do? What role will they play? Will the next government just be a facade with the army running the show from behind, or will the army play the role of a mediator between the protesters, the civil society, and the politicians? We're still waiting to see how it plays out. As of today, as of now, the army seems to be facilitating the transition of power. Yesterday, they met with the protesters. The president of Bangladesh was also present in that meeting. After the meeting, a leader was named. Mohammad Yunus will serve as a caretaker leader of Bangladesh. He's a Nobel laureate. When Hasina's regime fell, he was in Paris for a medical procedure. Today, he returned to Dhaka.
My God. Please. Well, I'm looking.
Army ambassador.
That's the thing. Just I'm looking forward to going back home and see what's happening there and how we can organize ourselves to get out of the trouble that we're in. Thank you very much.
We've been telling you about Mohammad Yunus on the show. He pioneered the microloans program of Bangladesh. He was called the banker to the poor. His initiative helped millions of people, and for this he was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. Later, he was accused in almost 100 cases for embezzlement and extortion, and earlier this year he was sentenced to jail for labor law violations. He was out on bail. Today, a Bangladeshi court has overturned the conviction, so Mohammad Yunus has been acquitted of the labor charges today. The protesters wanted him to take over. They firmly rejected the idea of a government appointed by the military.
We primarily proposed internationally renowned and universally accepted Nobel laureate Dr. Mohammad Yunus as the chief advisor of our interim government. Today, the Honorable President has given his consent, confirming that the interim government will be formed quickly with Dr. Mohammad Yunus as the chief advisor.
So for the moment, it appears that the army has yielded to the protesters. They also played a part in persuading Sheikh Hasina to leave. More stories have been coming out. This is what we learned today about what happened in the final hours before Hasina fled Dhaka. On Sunday night, the army chief held a meeting. That's General Waker-Uz-Zaman. He is the army chief. He met with his top officers. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina was putting pressure on them. She wanted them to enforce the curfew, to use force to stop the protesters. But General Zaman decided against it. After speaking to his team, he reached out to Sheikh Hasina's office and he conveyed their decision. The army would not fire at civilians. That's what he told her. They will not resort to force. They will not curb the protest. Then on Monday morning, General Zaman went to Sheikh Hasina's residence, where he apparently tried to reason with her. Reports say that the general was quite straightforward in sharing his assessment. He told then Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina that the situation was out of control, that the army could no longer stop the crowd. They could not prevent the mobs from reaching her residence, so she must leave. That was his assessment. Hasina was told that she had 1 hour to leave. But apparently she wasn't convinced. She still wanted to hold on to power. General Zaman then asked the family to intervene. Now remember, the Army Chief General Zaman is Sheikh Hasina's relative. He's married to her cousin, so he has a close relationship with the family. He first reached out to Rehana Siddiq, that's Sheikh Hasina's sister. Calls were also made to her children. And then it was the family that convinced Hasina to leave. General Zaman was there throughout. Ultimately, Sheikh Hasina relented. She left the country with her sister Rehana. A few hours after her departure, after their departure in fact, the army chief was live on television announcing the Prime Minister's resignation. He also promised a peaceful transition of power. But that's proving to be easier said than done. The situation is still fragile. Maintaining law and order will be a challenge. Today, the police chief of Bangladesh was removed. Yesterday, a large number of police personnel went on strike. Do you know why? Because they were worried about their safety. And that should tell you something about how bad things are. The police need safety assurances. Cops abandoned their posts. They refused to report for duty at multiple locations. So students took their place at many traffic intersections. Take a look at this. A new police chief has now taken over and he has issued an ultimatum. He wants all personnel to return to their posts within the next 24 hours. The opposition is making moves as well. They're trying to fill the political vacuum. The Bangladesh Nationalist Party, or the BNP, called a rally today. That's the party of Khaleda Zia. Thousands of their supporters gathered. Khaleda Zia addressed this rally virtually from a hospital.
This victory has brought new opportunities for us. The corruption which has been going on in the country for so many days was ignored by the government. Amid all this, we must make Bangladesh prosperous again. For the students who gave up on their dreams by getting involved in bloodshed, we will fulfill those dreams. Students have shown great intellect, courage and bravery while fighting, which will help us in making Bangladesh a republic.
Khaleda Zia was Sheikh Hasina's main political rival. When Hasina was in power, Zia and her party faced a fierce crackdown. Until a week ago, it was hard to imagine a comeback for Khaleda Zia. She may still not be able to return to active politics given her health, but clearly the tables have turned.
Climate change is on our doorstep. It's time for a revolution to take root. And it starts with 1.4 billion Indians. It starts with one tree for humanity, one tree for Mother Earth, one tree for our future. Project One Tree, a News 18 network initiative.
To the West Indies. What can you expect from this?
Hello, I'm Alison Green, coming to you from Durban, South Africa. Today we have a special show.
We'll start with a report on India's shifting nuclear posture. For the first time since India officially became a nuclear power.
Hello and welcome to Firstpost.